What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and of course I'm from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above or directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider, as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. Day passes available. WiseTake.com. If you're new to this channel, welcome. You've come to the right place for some free fire DFS content. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and don't miss out on any of the free content we put out. Not a bad slate. I thought the Tuesday night slate, as big as it was a good one. I thought it was a good one. And real quick, shout out to those of you who were able to watch this live. I'm going at it blind tonight, meaning I don't have the chat pulled up. My other laptop is currently being occupied as I produce the Card Breakers show. Shout out to Card Breakers, first case break, MLB break 144. That's right, 144. And it's our first case break, man. Top's finest, really nice cards. But anyway, so shout out to those of you who are watching this live, but I don't have access to the chat at the moment. So I'm just going to roll through this show and do what we do. It's another big slate, 12 games. I believe we'll have some weather to check out, to pay attention to. But we'll take everything as it goes. And we'll go ahead and jump right in, starting as always with our top pitchers. So this is an interesting one. We got Gerrit Cole, who, if you're just going by numbers, is the best numbers on the slate by far. So Gerrit Cole has not been as crisp lately, I guess you could say. Pull up his game logs. So against the Rangers in Texas, he had 7 Ks, gave up 5 earned runs. Bounced back against the White Sox, 7 Ks, 7 innings, which still isn't, Cole-esque. You feel like he's a guy that will normally have more strikeouts than innings pitched when he goes that deep. Against Detroit, 5 Ks, 6 innings, 1 earned run. Against Tampa, 7 Ks, 5 earned runs. Now, it's been well documented that Gerrit Cole's spin rate was down in that last game against the Rays. For anyone who's been paying attention, I'm sure now we're starting to hear a bunch about the sticky situation, this sticky stuff. It's legit. Gerrit Cole, I don't know if any of you heard the Yankees pregame interview, one of the pregame interviews, listening on the radio, and somebody straight up asked him, "Are you using Spider Tap or some shit like that?" And Gerrit Cole, basically, after stuttering for about 12 seconds, he said he doesn't know how to answer that, and then proceeded to talk about how players before him passed on things to his generation and blah, 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 blah. Basically saying, like, yeah, I use shit, but this shit has been around in baseball forever. That's kind of the way that he put it. He didn't deny it. So, when we find out that he is doing this shit or his numbers go down because the MLB starts enforcing this shit, we'll know. But yeah, no doubt in my mind at this point, right? Like, Gerrit Cole, at least he was using that shit. His career looked like it was kind of getting stagnant, looked like he was on the way down over in Pittsburgh. Goes to Houston along with Justin Verlander, who was in the same scenario, right? Justin Verlander, another one, who seemed to be kind of stagnant in Detroit. Seemed like we saw his peak. Both went to Houston and became even better than they were before. Like, Houston has just a really good pitching coach. Or Houston's doing something shady, and that's kind of their MO, right? Houston doing something shady, at least during that era. So I'm going to take a minute, because when Trevor Bauer signed with the Dodgers, like I had said, Mr. Trevor Bauer, who is the, I think, top in the MLB right now in spin rate, he's another one who has not denied that he's using any substances. Instead, he simply says, I want a fair playing field. Implying to me, that's implying that he is using it, but he knows that other people are using it, and if they're going to continue to use it, he's going to continue to use it. So he's basically telling MLB, crack down on this, or I'm going to continue to use it. If you can't stop everyone from using it, then I'm going to use it, because to me, that's me competing on a fair playing field. That's kind of how I took that. Now, I'll say this last thing. I'm going to homer out real quick. For those of you that insist. I see some people have come out and trying to accuse my man Jacob deGrom of using this. deGrom isn't even in the top percentile of spin rate, to be clear. And that's the whole advantage of the sticky shit, is it increases your spin rate. The higher your spin rate is, the more the ball moves, therefore making it harder to hit. deGrom is beating people with gas. There is a difference, to be clear. He's beating people with just 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. His spin rate's not even in the top percentile. Just want to make that clear. Move this light a little bit. Just wanted to make that clear. Okay, but back to anyway. But before I move on, that wasn't supposed to be me talking about how deGrom's the best pitcher in baseball. You should already know that, right? That was more so me talking about how Bauer was using that shit, and it's pretty clear. Matter of fact, somebody asked Bauer a question like, "Do you think you'd still be good without it, or do you think you'd still be good if you whatever?" And his response was, "Look at my 2018 numbers," implying that in 2018 I was not using it, and that was back when he was bitching about Garrett Cole and his other pitchers cheating. But that he's using it now. Right? I mean, what other implication is that? Okay, now that we've got that off our chest, nation, let's go ahead and dive in here. So the question is, do we want Garrett Cole? I'm a little worried that he's not using the shit, and if he's not using the shit, I'm worried about paying this kind of price tag for him. I mean, 11.2 is extremely expensive. The problem is I don't see a ton of great alternatives that I feel confident about in terms of an ace. So in cash games, I'm still letting it rock with Garrett Cole. If we look at Minnesota, 22.8% K rate, not very good. I mean, for a pitcher. 178 ISO, 321 WOBA, 105 WRC plus. So I'm a little nervous in tournaments. In cash games, I think he's just going to be so popular it don't matter. But I'm a little nervous in tournaments. Lance Lynn, his numbers are fine. He's at home in a hitter-friendly park, but he's playing Toronto, who has a 112 WRC plus, third highest WRC plus in the league against righties, a 186 ISO, a 22.4% K rate. I'm a little nervous. I don't really love either of these two. But then who? I think Alek Manoah shows some promise. The White Sox, however, pretty good against righties also, 107 WRC plus. They do have a 23.5% K rate, which is a little better, and only a 141 ISO, which is kind of interesting. But this is a small park. Manoah gave up a lot of fly balls in that game. And he's expensive as all hell. I mean, on FanDuel, it's only 8,500. Don't love Wainwright. Gonsolin we'll talk about later. I think Eflin would be the next best guy that I feel somewhat comfortable with. And how comfortable could you really feel attacking Atlanta? But Eflin, we know over his career, has strong lefty-righty splits. We know Atlanta is pretty right-hand heavy. Eflin's got a 3.28 xFIP, a 3.45 Sierra, a 24.5% K rate. One thing about Atlanta, as good as they are, with a 193 ISO, 321 WOBA, 102 WRC plus against righties, they do have a 25% K rate. So, for tournaments at least, he's probably one of the guys I feel the most comfortable with. Taijuan Walker also looks like he has regression coming. And this is a park where things can go wrong, but the spot seems pretty legit for another decent day. Baltimore, as good as they are against lefties, they have not been good against righties. 85 WRC plus, 289 WOBA, 151 ISO, and a 24.4% K rate. So I think this is actually a decent spot for Walker, and the prices come down, so I can dig it. But then who? You're coming down. I think Patrick Corbin's kind of interesting against the Rays. This is probably something I think I meant to put in the what to watch section, but we'll talk about it now. It's in Tampa, good park for pitching and indoors. Tampa Bay has a 30% K rate against lefties, a 91 WRC plus, 293 WOBA, and a 151 ISO. He's very cheap. So it just seems like in tournaments, I don't know if I want to spend all the way up on pitching. I think I kind of want to save some money and take some chances if I don't think that Lynn and Cole are in for ceiling games. It doesn't mean I'm going to fade them completely. And obviously I write a core plays article at WiseTake.com with my final thoughts after I dig in a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of where I'm leaning. Tucker Davidson has been impressive so far. He also, 2.3 run ERA is not necessarily how he's really pitched, but he's a lefty and he's going up against the Phillies, who have a 29.3% K rate to lefties. They do have a 103 WRC plus and a 322 WOBA, 161 ISO, but a 29.3% K rate. He could be interesting. He's still cheap. And one of my favorite plays on a slate is probably going to be Austin Gomber on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's 9,500, which is crazy. I mean, you'll get him crazy low owned, but that's a little ridiculous. 6K on DraftKings? Here's your cash game SP2. I mean, first of all, XFIP and Sierra under 4, and he plays in Coors as his home park. 25% K rate. Somebody did, I forgot who it was, but somebody came in a YouTube chat or comments and said that he's doing something different. He cut his walks down and now he's like looking real good. And they were completely right. He has. If we take a look at the Rockies against lefties, not the worst. 339. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be looking at Miami. My bad. I thought that was weird. Miami. Where you at, man? Here we go. Looking at the Marlins, 88 WRC plus, 293 WOBA, 151 ISO with a 28% K rate against lefties. This looks like a really good spot for Austin Gomber, who's 6K on DraftKings. So again, 9.5 on FanDuel, that's expensive. It's crazy. The only advantage is you'll get him low owned. But on DraftKings at 6K, that's kind of ridiculous. Right. All right, let's move into top offenses. Get into that real quick, and I'm gonna start with the Mets against Matt Harvey. Obviously, I mean, they beat up Harvey before. You know what I mean? They beat up Harvey before. So, in Citi Field. So I think things will go fairly well for him here in this place. In Baltimore. Much smaller park. So yeah, Mets should be pretty popular. Red Sox against Jake Odorizzi. If we look at Jake Odorizzi, 7.16 ERA, 4.58 xFIP. He looks like he maybe shouldn't be as bad as he's been, but it's still bad, right? Big fly ball guy, always has been, and he's playing in a small park out in Fenway. I like Boston. Next up, Brewers against this Vlad Gutierrez kid. We haven't seen much of him, but he's got a 15% K rate. Brewers are going to play, obviously, a very small park to play in. They've got guys that are okay, and if you put out a pitcher with a 5.88 xFIP, a 5.85 Sierra, and a 15% K rate, and I think the Brewers can do a little something. So I'm going with the Brewers. And then on the same breath, on the other side of this game, I think the Reds are in play. Brett Anderson, 4.66 xFIP, 4.89 Sierra, 12.7% K rate. If we look at Cincinnati against lefties, they've struggled. But they're at home in a good park and against a pitcher that's going to allow them to put the ball in play. So, they're going to round it out. But the Mets and the Red Sox, I think, will be the two most popular, more obvious plays out there. Things to watch. So Shane McClanahan, he's got positive regression coming, man. He's got positive regression coming. His xFIP is 2.85, Sierra 3.23. That's really good. I mean, that's the second lowest xFIP on the slate. He's got a 30% K rate. He's at home, but he is playing the Washington Nationals, who have a 107 WRC plus, a 330 WOBA. However, if you look, a 142 ISO and a 24% K rate. There's definitely hope for this kid. I think he could be one of the sneakier options. He's 6'6" on FanDuel. That's kind of crazy. But something to keep an eye on there. Tony Gonsolin. Yeah, we just don't know how much he's gonna pitch, right? Let me see if DraftKings has any note. He's coming off the IL. As he hasn't pitched that this year. Activated from the 60. Yeah, okay, he hasn't pitched yet this year, right? So we just don't know what his limitations are, at least as of yet. We just don't know how long he's gonna pitch. He's playing the Pirates, one of the worst offenses out there, but Dodgers have never been known for, like, being so lenient with their pitchers, their starters. So I just don't see him making his first start of the season up to 60 to the other. They're just going to let him go, right? So there's something to keep an eye on, though, also to see what kind of form he's in, at least for future starts. Last but not least, Nathan Eovaldi, whose numbers are respectable and good. He's at home, though, against Houston. Houston, we know, really good numbers against lefties. Well, guess what? They got really good numbers against righties. Only a 156 ISO, but a 113 WRC plus, 325 WOBA, and a 19% K rate. So curious to see what one's out there. Does Eovaldi go out there and pay off his salary because he is fairly cheap? Or do the Astros continue to stay hot in Boston and Fenway and beat that ass? Those are the questions. Those are the questions indeed. All right, next up we're doing Dong Watch, home run. Who's going deep? Infielder, outfielder, wild card. I'm going Francisco Lindor as my infielder against Harvey. Easy one, right? Lefty. Well, he's a switch hitter, but he'll be left-handed against Harvey in a small park. JD Martinez against Odorizzi in Boston and Fenway. And then Nick Castellanos against Brett Anderson. Going Nick Castellanos. I could have went with a Brewer, but decided to go with Nick Castellanos. He's having a really good, him and the Winker having really good years. And that nation is going to do it for this edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me live or after the fact. For our first look, don't forget to check us out at WiseTake.com. My core plays articles over there. Paul Edie does his DFS dirt sheet, which highlights his favorite stacks, his favorite pitchers for tournaments, all that good shit. So come check it out. Get a day pass if you want to hang out for the day, try it out, whatever. If you have a monthly membership or higher, you get access to our Slack chat. Hit me up there. It's been kind of slow. It's been slow in there. But anytime you want to be the one to come in here and get things popping, get a monthly membership or higher, get in that Slack chat and talk to me. Anyway, hit the like button on your way out. Leave some comments. I appreciate you guys. From myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck. Yeah.